Coming up on Mountain News this morning, our region mourns the loss and remembers the legacy of the co-founder and former longtime director of an internationally recognized choir from the mountains. And a local school system names the new superintendent who's set to take on the role in the new year.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
6:32 here on this Thursday morning. I'm Dakota Makris. We have almost made it to Friday, and it's the last week of 2022. Let's head over to Brandon for a look at our forecast. And Brandon, yesterday, a viewer stopped me at the coffee shop here and was like, Dakota, how do you not know what week this is? Because yesterday I didn't really know if it was actually the last week of 2022 or not. And I told her, I said, well, it's the week no one wants to work. So.
Well, that and the fact that I think just people lose track of the days between Christmas and New Year's because it's just kind of a blur.
It is.
You know?
I don't even know what I did yesterday, honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at our forecast this morning, and we're going to continue to see the possibility for some wild temperature swings. Here is one we don't use a whole lot, but it gives you a pretty good view of 3 different cameras: London Corbett Airport, the WYMT studios in Hazard, and downtown Somerset. And look at the temperature differences on this map. 34 in London, 45 in Hazard, 48 in Somerset. But you see the wind, especially in Hazard and Somerset, coming out of the south or southwest. That's warm air. Even though it's not a lot of it, it's warm air. So the dew point's a little bit higher, the humidity level's a little bit higher, and even the feels like's pretty much basically what it is, the air temperature. So again, just kind of keep that in mind. 20s, 30s, 40s, and even a 50 up at Irvin there. 51 this morning. So kind of a wild range there as you head out the door. Breakfast forecast, it's going to be a fairly nice day. A chilly start. We tried to hit the difference, just trying to split the difference there and do it in the mid-30s. But you know, some spots are warmer, some spots are colder. Just bundle up just in case as you head out the door this morning. Dakota?
All right, Brandon, thank you. Well, a Fleming County man was killed in a head-on crash involving 2 cars in Rowan County yesterday. The coroner's office says the crash happened around 7:30 Wednesday morning on Flemingsburg Road. That's near the intersection of Old Hilda Road. The drivers of both cars were taken to St. Clair Healthcare Emergency Department. One of the drivers, a 69-year-old man, was pronounced dead at the hospital rather. Neither cars had any passengers. The cause of the crash remains under investigation, and the coroner's office did not release the name of the man. One southeastern Kentucky grocery store is being sued for reported religious discrimination. A federal lawsuit filed on Tuesday says Matthew Barnett claims he was denied an assistant manager position at Hometown IGA in Williamsburg because he is Rastafarian. As part of the religion, Barnett wears his hair long and in dreadlocks. The suit claims the store refused to accommodate his beliefs and declined to hire him because he refused to cut his hair. We reached out and left messages with both IGA and Houchins Food Group corporate offices for comment. We've not heard back from either. The Harlan County school system has had school resource officers part-time within its schools for several years. But yesterday, the school system solidified its own police force dedicated to protecting its students, faculty, and staff. 6 officers were sworn in as part of the Harlan County Schools Police Department, providing school resource officers to each of the schools in the district. Those with the department say the group has more than 100 years of law enforcement experience combined.
It's a great feeling, and I want all the officers to serve as role models in those schools, to work on building strong relationships with the students and the staff at those schools, to make them feel comfortable to share information with the SROs, and to make sure that we can provide Harlan County schools to be the safest possible that they can be.
Harlan County Schools Superintendent Brent Roark says he's excited to continue the school's partnership with the Harlan County Sheriff's Office in ensuring students and staff across the district are safe. A co-founder of the Harlan Boys Choir and its former longtime director, David Davies, died on Wednesday. He leaves behind a legacy that can be heard throughout the mountains. Our Alyssa Williams sat down with some of the people who knew Davies best to learn more about his life and to share what it meant to him to be a singing son of Appalachia.
A stranger to no one and a mentor to many.
If these walls in this room and the walls of this school could talk, or at his church, that right there, the people that he come in contact with, he touched everybody.
Harlan County native David Davies changed the tune for countless individuals, and it all started when he co-founded the Harlan Boys Choir in 1965.
The Singing Sons of Appalachia. He was really appreciative of where he come from, his roots.
Davies would eventually lead the choir to the International Youth Music Festival in Graz, Austria in 1972, winning that competition, then later singing at the White House in '89 for the inauguration of George Bush.
We have performed for governors' inaugurations. We've been to Canada. We've been to St. Louis, Missouri. We've been to New York. We've been to Williamsburg, Virginia. We've just been all over the place. The boys' choir represented this community quite well.
Through directing the choir, teaching English at Harlan Independent Schools, and coaching various sports teams, Davies still found time to be a role model to the countless students he encountered.
He taught us how to be a man, how to act, how to talk to people. And so just not the music. It was a little bit more than that right there.
After 44 years of being choir director, Davies passed down the torch. But even today, his legacy lives through the students he taught and his colleagues who will be singing where he left off.
Some big shoes to fill. Some big shoes to fill. He had a song that he loved, and it was Hold On to Your Dream. And I hope that I can fulfill his dream.
Leaving behind his life and legacy on a high note. In Harlan County, Alyssa Williams, WYMT Mountain News.
Well, this year, Davies was able to take part in the Harlan Boys Choir 57th reunion. Some of the choir's former members even visited his home to sing Christmas carols the day before Christmas Eve, with many of them noting that he was delighted to sing along and, of course, to sing on pitch. David Davies was 87 years old. We'll pass along funeral arrangements when they are announced. Kent Campbell was named the new Perry County Schools Superintendent earlier this week. He is succeeding Jonathan Jett, who is retiring from the position after nearly 30 years in education. Campbell is a Perry County native and has been a principal in the district for several years. He says he's already working on a game plan.
We need to get Buckhorn back into their school. We need to get Robinson a new school built. And we also need to look on the south end, and we need to get South Perry up and running. So we got a lot of work to do, and I look forward to it.
Campbell will begin his new role as superintendent on January 1st. Well, the end of 2022 is nearly here, and this is the time of year people make donations to local nonprofits. But this year, inflation is having an impact on some of those contributions. Garrett Weimer and photojournalist Darnell Crenshaw talked with 3 agencies with different perspectives on the issue of giving.
Is inflation causing donations to nonprofits to slide? Well, it really depends on the agency. Take CASA, for example. The court-appointed special advocates for abused and neglected children is feeling the nonprofit pinch. Last year's Good Giving Challenge raised $30,000 for the organization. This year's Good Giving Challenge brought in half that amount.
And when we looked at the numbers more, not only was it a decrease, but it was a significant decrease in the number of transactions or individuals or families that were donating.
90% of its budget is direct services. The agency has 16 staff members serving 600 children in Central Kentucky. Executive Director Melinda Jameson says every $1,000 less received is one less child served.
And I think unless something changes, unfortunately, we may see this continue, and that's been a concern that keeps me up at night.
Over at the Hope Center, the need never stops. The staff here serve 1,800 meals a day to the homeless and provide other services. It's also a busy time for the development and fundraising team as end-of-year contributions start to roll in.
Over the last year, we haven't seen a decline in donations and contributions. I think it's really a little too soon to tell how inflation may impact the long term.
I will say our neighbors and friends continue to be very generous, even with some economic uncertainty.
Lisa Atkins is the president of the Bluegrass Community Foundation. It oversees the Good Giving Challenge, serving 200 charities across the region. This year's contributions raised $2.5 million for those charities, the second highest total in its history.
Times are economically tough for a lot of people, and certainly for a lot of nonprofit organizations. And so that those that have the means, they open their wallet even wider.
6:41 here on this cold, well, for some, cold Thursday morning, Friday Eve. 25 in Jonesville, 28 Clintwood, 27 Ashland, 26 Manchester. Everybody else is in the 30s, 40s, and even 50s if you're up in Irvin this morning. So it's a kind of a wild swing in temperatures. 5 degrees warmer this morning in Wise, but everybody else is double digits warmer, with 13 and 14 being the big winners. Logan, Jackson, 13 degrees warmer than they were this time yesterday. Richmond, Hazard, Somerset, and Williamsburg, 14 degrees warmer. So the out-the-door forecast is going to feature some milder air and nice conditions today. It's going to be a very mild day, especially for late December. Dakota?
All right, Brennan, thank you. It's 6:42. Still to come here on Mountain News this morning. The Department of Homeland Security warns about potential acts of extremism related to the potential lifting of Title 42, which remains in limbo.